Okay, Dave Rothschild back with another video, and today I wanted to talk to you about a personal project that I've been working on for most of 2018 called Paths. And in this video I'm going to briefly discuss the idea behind the project, where the project currently is, and a little bit about my limitations with the project. So first and foremost, my initial idea for this project was to strip away a lot of what I was relying on as a photographer. And in my particular case, as some of you may know, those things would be color, using color film, having the ability to travel great distances to explore Virginia, where I live, by car, having multiple cameras, multiple lenses, and being very free in that sense to shoot something however I wanted. So my idea was to strip away color and strip away the ability to use multiple cameras, just use one camera. And I decided on my Nikon F3, and I only wanted to use one lens, so I chose a 28mm lens, a Nikkor lens. And so that was the equipment that I was going to use and the limitations that I was going to have. And the idea in terms of the settings I was going to shoot, I did not want to have to travel far. I didn't want to use my car at all. I just wanted to walk out my house and go on paths that I had never been on. And 80 to 90% of the images in this little art book were when I was out exploring on paths that I had never been on. Some of them I had been on before, but I was seeing it in a new way because I was shooting it in black and white and a little bit more paying close attention to certain things that fit the narrative. So that was the setting and the limitations. And now the actual work itself, I kind of came up with this idea that I wanted the images to capture the essence of nature or a feeling in some way, where they're not just a descriptive landscape, but because they're in black and white, there is a feeling of something that you're looking at, or an energy that's being emanated from the scene. And I wanted the images to function like that individually, but I also wanted the images to function as part of a narrative in a larger body of work. And so I spent the last few months with my friend who helped me edit and sequence and design this little art book to come up with a story where there was some cohesion between the beginning and the end. And I'm very, very happy and very pleased with the sequence and how the images function together. And I'm quite proud of the work and quite proud of his help and the way he's designed this to almost take the initial idea and bring it into a new place. So having said all that, I am also here to announce that I was originally going to self-publish this book called Paths, and there's challenges that have come up that had made me realize that that's probably not very realistic, because ultimately I wanted the images to be very high resolution and printed at a very high quality. And because they are very detailed images in black and white with a lot of tonal variation, it just didn't become feasible to print at the size that I wanted and to be able to mass produce a book and afford those costs myself. You know, people have asked about pre-ordering and things like that, or GoFundMe, but that's not something I've, up to this point, have been interested in. So I am going to announce right now that I'm looking for a publisher for this work, and I'm going to try to find a book publisher, you know, an independent publisher, to help me get this work out there and print it in a hard book, maybe a soft book, at a much bigger size. This right here is about the size of a Polaroid picture, like let's say a peel apart film, and I want it to be at least twice this size, if not bigger. So that's where I'm at, and sorry for those that were looking forward to something, it's gonna have to wait. But while I have you watching this video, I'd like to share a couple of the images and sequences from the book and get your feedback and thoughts on that. So this is the cover image, as you can see, and I'll just flip through really quickly. It's all printed, as I said, at a very high resolution with pigment-based printing. And you know, the first two images that you see are both paths, and then we have a view from the path, looking out into a neighborhood. And what struck me about this image, and what I think goes with the story, is that you have this idea that you're going on a journey that's quite wild and primitive in some ways when you look at the just the overall chaotic scenes that I was capturing. But then you had this kind of moment where you're kind of peering through these trees back at the suburban world, and there's this threatening sense of almost doom on both sides, like nature taking over, and also the houses trying to fit their way in nature as well. So again, another path image from the book. And as I said before, I want these images to be very high resolution because there is an immense amount of detail, and that's what I was going for when I was shooting. Here's one of the first sequences from the book. There's actually birds all along the tops of these branches. Another sequence. And the cover image, of course. I'm not going to share the whole book because it's quite a few pages. And the other thing I don't like is it looks beautiful, but it's just a little tricky to turn the pages. They're a little thin. And this is one of the more balanced sequences from the book. A lot of the sequences have a little more chaos in them. This is actually one of my personal favorite images from the book. And that's kind of one of the main themes of the book, or the idea of paths that I wanted to create, was that, on the one hand, you have, this is just a landscape of a creek, but on the other hand, you have this like energy or force that you're feeling, where the trees are almost reaching out and trying to grab you, almost like jaw, trying to bite you. And I wanted that sense of abstraction in a lot of the work, and not just be a detailed landscape. And when I get to the image that I want to talk about the most, I'll talk about that, and then I'll wrap this up. And it is this one right here. So this is kind of where I think my idea for the book, for the project, kind of takes fruition the most. You have basically vines, and most of these vines, I'm guessing, are invasive, maybe kudzu. I'm not sure, since it's winter, I can't really see the leaves. And so on the one hand, you have a very chaotic landscape with a lot of energy and destructiveness. And on the other hand, you also have this like wave-like energy that almost mimics water. And so for a lot of the images, I wanted there to be that kind of dualism between looking at a scene but also imagining that scene as something else. And I think black and white really does justice to those abstractions, or those imagined things that I was hoping the viewer, when they get the book, will feel that sense of confusion and wonder and curiosity that one can feel from a mysterious story. So that's all I'm going to share. That's probably about a little bit more than halfway through. There's definitely quite a few more images that go through. So let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Once again, this is my personal project, Paths, and if you know of anyone that might be interested in publishing something like this, let me know. And I will see you guys next time.